Sonic, the heart of your system.
I'm Leo Walder for Kit Guru. We're here at Nangang for Computex 2019. I'm at the CaseKing booth and I have a Mercedes. An official Mercedes Noble chair, designed by Mercedes people. And there are a bunch of other Noble chairs that I recognise, such as this champagne model here. But around me, we've got a Portuguese chair, for example. We can go on holiday to Portugal with Noble. Other branding, GTX on your chair, sir. We're going to have a quick scoot around this booth. So if we go from here to the Colink cases, it's CaseKing, and therefore we have a wall of Colink cases. They do this year after year. In fact, in fairness, this year fewer than usual, a mere dozen or so. This is unusual. This is, and I'm reading this off the card, Colink Big Chungus Full Tower Showcase. What the heck a Chungus is, I do not want to know. But it's a showcase now. We see a number of showcases at Computex and other big shows. And they're usually extremely expensive, totally bizarre pieces of work. This is, relatively speaking, quite cheap. It's about 150, probably euros rather than pounds. Has an aluminium plinth of sorts, which I thought at first was just a plinth for this kind of triangular-ish case. But no, it's got the I/O, so it is part of the case. Compared to some of the really high-end InWinds and such, like obviously it's beginner territory in terms of pricing and what I can see in the way of features, but nonetheless it's different, and by the look of it you're getting an awful lot of hardware for your money, plus, and this is good, fans directly behind this panel here, so therefore no air getting through there, but we do have whacking great big openings here, so there is at least going to be some sort of airflow. So not entirely mental or crazy, but certainly different. Just a pretty shot, the absolute glitz of Der Bauer's dynamic pulse system, just because that looks absolutely glorious. Der Bauer does systems for CaseKing in the same way that 8-Pack does systems for OC UK. So you're talking clearly full custom loop in an 011 case, which is obviously the Der Bauer case from Lian Li, as you can see by the logo plate at the back. It just looks lovely. We have a case of Der Bauer products. He's famous for his delidding products and also worked very closely with Thermal Grizzly. In case you don't know, 8-Pack and Der Bauer work with Thermal Grizzly to develop their new products. They are an integral part of the team. So these products we're familiar with, D-Lid, Dimate, X and such like. Obviously the move to soldered heat spreaders means this is becoming less of an issue. And then the Intel 9th Gen OC frame, which is a shim that sits directly on your CPU once you've delidded to space away your CPU cooler. And then we come along to Der Bauer liquid cooling monoblock and also fittings. I think we know someone who can explain this kit. We're with Roman Der Bauer, who's got his system here, which is a monoblock on a Zeus Rock Dominus, and also some new fittings. He's going to take us through the products.
Hey guys, so I'm presenting my Link monoblock. Link stands for Liquid Interconnect Cooling. It's a very special monoblock, and I call it the first true monoblock, which means that we have the CPU in there, VRM cooling, we're cooling the network chip, which will in the end be connected to this monoblock over a heat pipe system. We have chipset cooling, and what's the most special part about it, we have a special water channel that also includes the GPU. So we have this link here, which is connecting the monoblock with the GPU. So you can see there are no connections for typical fittings, so you don't have to use any hard tubing, soft tubing to connect your GPU inside your water cooling loop. So yeah, that's why I'm calling it the first true monoblock. It supports 2 GPUs in total, so you can see there's another connection down here, which is currently open just to show how it works. And obviously you can also do single GPU, and then you will just place a cover on here to block those channels. You see intake, outtake are on top here, and that's the only connections you have for the whole system. So just connect this here with your pump reservoir and radiator, and then you have the full system cooled just by that. I'm also presenting my water cooling fittings. They're modular, so you have those rings which you can insert in all of those fittings to give it your unique designs. You can see all of those are anodized aluminium with like gold, red, green, blue, black. We have this one, which is also nickel plated. We will also have carbon fiber rings, which we were not able to present yet here. 2 different carbon fiber designs. For example, you can see them here on the rotary fittings, 90 degrees, or rotary 45 degrees. This is a hard tubing fitting which has another black ring, but this is not anodized. This is a plastic black ring which gives it a little bit more matte look. Those are soft tubing fittings, so for example for 16 millimeters, 13 millimeters we will have soft tubing fittings. We have hard tube fittings, 12 millimeter, 14 and 16. And then of course all sorts of adapters like 10 millimeter standoffs, then we have 20 millimeter, 30 millimeter fittings to block, and everything you could think of.
That's great. Why should I talk about products when the man himself can do it for me? Many thanks, Roman. Enjoy the show.
Thank you.
8-pack Hyper-Vortex system here. We had a long talk with 8-pack about this. It's absolutely glorious. I'm going to show you the brief highlights. For me, actually, one of the highlights is this light box at the bottom, which is purely aesthetic, light coming through, glowing through. I love that illumination. DDC pump looks very sleek. Generally, DDC is considered to be inferior to D5. However, DDC does a perfectly decent job, and that looks good. The distro plate that 8-pack explained in some detail is a complex piece of kit, and then you can see the loop working its way up the system and going to the CPU and the VRMs. We like all that. The significant point here is the Nexus, because this is a new range of hardware he's launching. It's actually in association with a company called Nexus, but the 8-pack logo is what we're focusing on here. The Vortex kind of schematic on the graphics card is currently vinyl. That's going to be done properly, probably etched or engraved in the final thing, but that's just showing you the flow of the coolant. And then the CPU block here, which is the more basic of the three families of CPU block, you can barely see because it's behind this. That's actually a mini distro plate to connect the CPU block to the VRMs. So that's all good stuff. Around the side we have, and I'm going to give you a really brief tour of the CPU block, the highest version, of which 8-pack gave us a really long explanation in detail. I'm going to give you the baby version, which is here. This is directly liquid, directly onto the CPU die. This is like level 3 of 3. So 1 is a regular, 2 is improved, this is all out. With this approach, the liquid is going directly onto the die, therefore if you're assembling it yourself, it could easily, onto the heat spreader rather, it could cause problems. So this is going to be pre-assembled only by OC UK and by 8-pack, and also for people in the server area. So you won't be able to assemble this yourself at home. That sounds truly impressive. The claims he's making for the performance are epic. You're talking in that sort of territory of 5 to 8 degrees temperature drop over existing technologies. Clearly, claims are claims. We need to see this in action, but it sounds deeply impressive. Similarly, his approach with the GPU cooling. This is all interesting stuff, but the very fact 8-pack's getting into this and looking at this from the ground up rather than just changing subtly existing technology, we approve of that hugely. That was it. That was CaseKing. We've met Deb Bauer, we've met 8-pack, we're happy. Loads of good stuff to see. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Check back, we've got more videos coming this week from Computex. I'm Leo Waldock. This is the CaseKing booth.